In 2020, he went in for an operation, and I had known that he was having trouble eating. He had lost a lot of weight. I had a show in Philadelphia, and that we talked, and that it ended with, "I love you." 2 minutes from the time I stood at the door, we heard the words that he's gone. I can delight in the fact that our last words were, "I love you," and "I love you too." I guess I learned that it's on me. A lot of things are on me. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's like a lot of responsibilities fall on me. I just wanted to be a daughter grieving.
I feel like the last 2 weeks, I literally forgot what year we're in.
Yeah.
I forgot how old I was, and my birthday just passed. First time I said it out loud, like, wait, am I 35 or 36?
Okay. I just told a friend that happens around mid-30s. You're like, wait, how old am I?
It happened to me past 30. Once I got to 30, I was like, I'm not a big birthday guy. And for other people, I'll celebrate. But for my own, whatever, I've been here before.
It's interesting. I literally just said, I think around 36, 37, I was like, I really had to do math.
Yeah.
Like, okay, December 5th, but born in this year. Okay, but I would have been, so I'm turning. I literally had to sit and do that several times in the same year. I'm the same age.
I literally did math.
Forgetting.
I did math literally a week ago. I was like, wait, 89? Oh my God, I'm 36. Whatever, it doesn't really matter to me. At this point, I don't even care. I honestly only feel like I'm getting better. Maybe my body's falling apart in some capacity, but I have some friends that are just, constantly looking back at the days, quote unquote. I'm like, what are you, chill. The days haven't even came yet in my head.
Yeah.
Is that maybe too optimistic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. Aging is such a big topic,
Everyone's trying to de-age.
Huh?
Everyone's trying to de-age.
De-age, exactly. Fight it, beat it. I'm like, why are we doing that?
I don't know. Glamour, glitz, whatever that bullshit is. But we're not here for glamour and glitz, right? No?
Yeah.
What are we here for?
We're here to talk about death.
I hope you don't mind me sampling the way you just said death in a couple months. But I appreciate you taking the time to making this happen. I know we've been working on it, but I appreciate you fitting me into your busy schedule.
Yeah, no worries.
So obviously a topic with this little show called Dead Talks. We talk about death a little bit. And as I've learned and what you just told me, you've had a little bit of an experience 2020.
Yeah.
Your father?
Yeah. My first, I guess you would call it the big one. There are two big ones, I think, that most people, and maybe that's not true. Maybe like a child death is also another big one. Like there are big ones that we encounter. It depends on who you're close to, I guess. And my dad was like one of my first best friends, So that was my first big one. Yeah.
What happened?
Besides his mother, my grandmother.
Right. And it's always, that...
it's like, I don't want to prioritize them or anything.
Right. But you said something that was important. It's kind of the relationship to them, because I've had people in my life and on the podcast that, lost grandparents. And it's always that little stigma. It's grandparent, they were older, yada, yada. But then there's that grandparent, grandmother, whatever it is, was a father figure to them. So it's kind of like...
Or a mother, yeah.
It's that relationship. And people that lose fathers didn't have a good relationship, so that makes it complicated.
Right.
But so what happened with your father in 2020?
In 2020, January 4th. So January 3rd, he went in for an operation, and I had known that, okay, he was having trouble eating and things. He had lost a lot of weight, like throughout like November, December, maybe even prior to that. Like we would notice like, I think it had gone on for a few months where he was like in excruciating pain more and more frequently. And by like November, December, I just was like, I lay eyes on him every month or so, or, and he just, every time I would hug him, he just felt like he was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And he really kind of hid his diagnosis. So that was kind of a mystery, but also his issue stemmed from like diverticulosis, something that he had an operation on at like, I think he said it was 29, either 26 or 29 years old. So he was 71, I think, when he passed. So this had been a lot. It's so weird because like things like his age and things like this, certain things are fading and then other things are coming full force, like frontal.
How do you mean?
Like, I don't know, there's things I can forget, like his age.
Oh, right.
And then there's things that have illuminated, things that have become clearer, things that I could never forget. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Certain memories, certain flashes of my psyche. But things like age and stuff are just like, oh God, how old was he when he died? Most people would know that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
and there are things honestly, about the process of him dying that also are vague. And there are things that I could never forget also. But I think that happens around trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that seems to be a normalcy, I guess. I don't know. But there's things that I've kind of shut out, or I'm sure there are things that I just can't remember, like this process that I'm describing. I'm like, wait, okay, the medical stuff, like, I couldn't really go all the way there. I couldn't really go all the way there with my mom, and she wanted to rehash and ruminate over, and I understand it. That's her pal. That's her best friend. That's her life partner. They were still together till his dying day, and 40-something years of marriage. So, yeah. So there's going to be things that I talk about that I'm like, oh, shucks. There's another vague,
Believe me, I
thing.
get that. A lot of my process, and we're not here to talk about that, but just in relation to that forgetfulness, it's weird. And this, you ever heard David Kessler? He's like Mr. Grief. I call him that.
Yes,
But
I've heard of. Yeah, he has a Kessler method or something like that.
Something like that. But he's
okay.
I think he literally has grief.com. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess you're the guy. And he said something to me when I brought it up in regards to my forgetfulness of a lot. And he's like, it's like partially denial, but that forgetfulness is like it gets a little too much baggage as a negative connotation, because
Right.
I got frustrated for a long time. I still do a little bit because of forgetfulness and things I want to remember.
Right.
But it's like you said, it might be necessary and just part of the process. But some things you kind of maybe just don't need to remember.
Yeah, maybe it's not the important fiber. It's not the thing. It's not the thread that you are holding on to or need to. Like, how old would he have been, or how old was he when, or like, maybe that's the diagnosis and certain other things. Like, maybe they're just not what we're meant to remember. It's more the impact. It's more, the environment that we shared.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the relationship, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of like sometimes I see movies and people bring it up. It's like, I remember that. I don't remember what happened, but I remember feeling this.
Yes. Okay. So that is how my memory works. I remember how I felt. I remember how I feel. It's really difficult for me to remember certain details that most people are like, oh, I remember my first grade teacher. Her name was blank. I'm like, I don't know.
I forgot I went to school. So maybe I was screwed from the beginning, but that's
yeah. Then there's that. Like, was I really there? Did I really go through all the grades? Because seriously, students' names and like teachers' names, there are certain ones that made an impact, and those are the ones I remember.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what do you remember from? I forgot, like, whether the details or whatnot. Okay. Where are you at this point? Like at that point, that makes sense. Like
about that point
during this process, yeah.
Okay. I remember that I had a show in Philadelphia, and that we talked, and that it ended with "I love you." I remember kind of having a sense of like, I don't know that I want to do this show. Like, it was weird. But he urged me, because I kept talking to my mom, like, should I go? Like, I should just cancel. But then I was only going for one night. So I kind of, and it was, I think, the same night that he was going to have his procedure. Yes. Was the night that I was flying. And so we spoke. I was, about to head to the airport, and, or was I packing? The details. But I know that I was preparing to go because something said go. And I didn't want to, I don't like canceling things. And I just kind of felt like it's going to be okay. I just kind of, the sense wasn't that strong. It wasn't that urgent for me to be like, I should cancel. It was like, he's done this before. He's had surgery, I think, some years prior, maybe 5 or 7 years, something like that. And it went fine. And we bonded over that time. And I was thinking of this as like, all right, well, when I'm back, I'll bring donuts and coffee again, and we'll have our time, and I'll get to record him and ask him his stories. And get to learn and know him even more again, deeper this time. But for sure recorded, because that's always the plan. It's like, I want to, hear things I've never heard. He told me stories when he was in the hospital with a similar thing. So I'm just kind of thinking, on one hand, I'm like, I don't really want to go. I kind of want to be there with my family, but I have a big family. Like, I'm one of 5 kids. And again, my parents are together. So it's a family of 7. So someone's always around, So me departing, even though I'm the second oldest, it was kind of like, I didn't feel like it was necessary. It's like, I'll go and I'll be back in the morning, So morning came. And I was getting updates before my show. Like, he did good. Everything went well. He's on the mend, like he's healing, da, 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 da. And at some point between that night of me post-show, so at some point a decline was occurring. And I sleep with my phone on airplane mode. And silent. This may not have been an airplane mode night, actually, now that I think about it. I think it was just my phone was on silent. I was going to try to get a couple hours of sleep. And I had talked to my manager, Al Jamal, and we talked about getting an earlier flight back. But the updates were positive. So it was already an early flight. It was like going from 8 to 6, I think it was, or something like that. And we talked about it, but we didn't find it that necessary until somehow my mom got a hold of my manager while I was asleep. And she had reported that, like, he's having like a serious and rapid decline. And so now Al Jamal, I can't remember how he woke me up, but somehow he must have knocked on the door or something. Like, I don't really know. Maybe called the room. He probably called the room. And was like, let's get an earlier flight. We're going to fly. We're going to take the 6 o'clock. Like, your dad, I got wind from your mom, talked to her. Didn't sound like it's kind of going as well as it was initially, because like he was doing good. I slept peacefully, you know what I mean? And that morning we take the earlier flight. And again, I'm just thinking, it starts getting kind of strange inside. I start having this like sense. And I'm just somber. I'm just having like probably the most somber flight I've ever flown on. And I land. My driver takes me to my house. I grab my car. My friend was there. He met me or my then boyfriend. Give that the respect it deserves. My boyfriend at the time drove me to the hospital. I live very close to that hospital that he was at, that he always wants to be at. He always had a favorite hospital. And he wasn't in a lot, because my dad was like kind of the type of person who felt like, I got to go some kind of way.
Okay.
And I hate to like say it, but there is this stigma that has a lot of truth to it, the Black men and doctors thing, and my dad had that, just kind of like, nah, nah.
Not today.
Like, yeah, if anything's going on, like, I'll find out.
Yeah.
But women of all colors tend to be much more in tune with what's happening with their bodies. And my dad kind of just chose what's the word when you are cognitive dissonance, I guess, in a sense, or just dismissal. And so, when things come to a head, they really come to a head for men. And that's kind of what we encounter, right? But I think I just told that story so I could stop the tears. But so, yeah.
Take your time.
I got my car. I live close to the hospital. And we get there. I wasn't even there 2 minutes. Like 2 minutes from the time I stood at the door, he was gone. And there were other potential declines. There were other times where they felt like, oh, he might be flatlining. We resuscitated him already, I think a couple times, and there must be like a number of times that they can do that, I guess. I think that's how it was presented to me. It's cloudy. But yeah, we heard the words. We heard the words that he's gone.
So how much of that process is, I feel like there's just so many layers to the grief experience in general that maybe don't normally get pinpointed.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was that process that you explained to me about kind of the justification of, it's going, not going. And then I feel like that might overlap with your thought process again. I'm sure it comes back, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, which is a very dangerous few words.
Oh, yeah.
But how much of that process flared up once you got there, and I guess when he passed, in regards to looking back?
A lot.
Is that a big part of it?
Oh, yeah. Should have been there. I could have been there. Could have canceled the show. Could have, you know what I mean? Could have taken it more seriously. Could have intuitively discerned better, I wanted to be there. And I think I rested on that. I settled in that. Like, I wanted to be there. And I chose wrong. And that happens in life sometimes,
Absolutely.
It happens. So I've forgiven myself, and I can delight in the fact that our last words were, I love you, and I love you too.
Amen.
I think he said, I love you more.
It's even better.
Yeah. And just at the last conversation, he was like, you go, you do your show. Like, the combo was really light. That's why I felt so confident. Because I would have listen, if I felt anything else, any deeper, but I do. It was part of the process. Because I always wondered, like, why would I feel so confident to go? And I explained it to you. I have a big family. Like, he's not without, you know what I mean? We did have, like, I would say, and this may offend my siblings, but I would say we had the closest bond out of all of my siblings. Or a special, maybe not closest. I'm sure they've cultivated their own, beautiful bonds with him. He was a loving guy, you know what I mean? Fun, jokey, just crass, sailor.
Just the best.
Yeah, but like a really dad joke like guy, like, But yeah, we had sports as our bond. We had horseback riding as our bond. We had a lot of different bonds. Yeah. Music. He pressed a record when he was in a quartet in college, and like I get my abilities from his side of the family for sure. My other my other grandmother, like, actually I feel like I'm rambling now.
No, we're here to ramble. That's why we got mics in front of us.
But I feel like there's so many places I could go.
Well, I do. Not that you need this or my word matters. We're just chopping it up. But okay. You said I chose wrong.
Yeah.
From my perhaps meaningless perspective, I'm just like, nah. You just chose.
I just chose. And maybe there's a reason I chose that way.
Yeah, maybe you did.
Maybe I was meant to not be here.
Yeah, and that's the big ass existential question mark. Right. But again, you chose, and it's impressive and important that you're harping on, I think, the right things in regards to that you wanted to be there. Plus, he kind of set you off with an insinuation of, like, go. Listen, you'd have to answer this. It's rhetorical or answer it. But I feel like if your dad was, again, you had that conversation, like, no, take that, go take that flight.
So confident.
100%. It's like, and it made me think of, because now the things that happen in life, it's so easy to look backwards. And I heard this quote, I'm probably going to butcher. Someone was saying, we all live life in a fog, in a sense that when things are happening, we're kind of just going one step at a time because life happens to us through fog.
Yeah.
And then looking back, it's easy to look back and see the man or woman and then the path without any fog. And it's like we forget the fog sometimes. And some of these choices or decisions we make are amongst the fog. And it's much easier to look back on the path we chose when the fog's all cleared up. So, which sometimes can be good to, I think, you know, look back at things and learn from it.
Yeah.
But, you know, then that's kind of a tough path to go to too. And sometimes it's just, you know, where your heart was.
For sure.
And even if you were there early, what would it have changed?
Right.
What would have changed?
It would not have changed the outcome. It was just his time.
And you showed up.
And I did show up.
You did show up. I'm sure plenty of times before that.
And boy, did I show up. For my mom and for his funeral and, you know, writing his obituary myself.
That's the weird shit. That's that ancillary part of grief that, you know, people talk about the missing, the feelings, but then there's financials, logistics, casket, the food that people are bringing they don't even like. It's like there's so many different things that just add to it.
Choosing the casket and trying to determine whether or not he wanted to be cremated or buried.
Oh yeah, was that not a conversation prior?
No, my mom thinks that it was, but she wasn't sure. She was in the fog.
Yeah.
And, you know.
That damn fog.
Yeah, and I had never talked to him about that.
Most
and
people
I
don't.
think that was left out of, he had a handwritten will, you know. And
old school.
Yeah. Oh, my dad was
yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. And his handwriting. Oh, he had the most beautiful handwriting. The most beautiful handwriting. The most beautiful signature. Like, it was just like enviable writing. And he wrote, he had notepads till his dying day, like notepads everywhere.
You still got those?
Yeah. Yeah, we have them. I don't know how many there are, but like, it's gotta be at least, I don't know. I don't think he ever really tossed them. I'm gonna ask my mom, where are all of his, I mean, literally like the lined notepads.
Hell yeah.
Dad always had them around all over the house.
What about you used to have a big family? I'm curious about that dynamic because that plays a part in it too. Anything you pull from, I guess, the family dynamic of different personalities, different people having to show up here and there for yourself? Like, what was that like?
Is it how they show up?
Just in general, I guess, because everyone, you know, handles shit differently. So do you realize anything in regards to the family dynamic of grieving your father?
I guess you'd have to maybe ask me something specific.
Well, I mean, like, did you notice anything in regards to how your family was there for you or how you had to show up for them? Like, were there conversations? Like, what was there? Do you remember anything in regards to how you guys were? I guess that first couple days, months, whatever it was.
Very numb, very much in disbelief the first week. Pushing through though. I guess I learned that it's on me. A lot of things are on me. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's like a lot of responsibilities fall on me. And I didn't want them during that time.
Like the logistics?
Logistics, financial, you know, like I had to contribute in ways that I didn't. And I had to contribute in ways that I just wanted to be a daughter grieving.
That makes perfect sense.
That makes sense. I just wanted to be a daughter grieving. I just wanted to curl up. I didn't want to step up and be like an adult.
Yeah. So do you feel like that delayed your grief in many ways, even if it was for a little bit, because you had to focus on other things and not focus on yourself?
Yeah. But this is months, like 4 months before quarantine.
Shit.
So I had my turn.
Yeah.
I definitely had my turn. Why is there not tissue here? Where is your tissue?
I think because I feel like people that come into this studio are not talking about what we're talking about. Oh. That's on me.
Okay.
That's on me.
Okay.
You want my shirt?
No. Is there some in a bag?
Oh yeah, napkin boy.
Okay, napkin boy.
We just talked about this. You got plenty of napkins.
Man.
Napkin man. Sorry. Yeah, you're definitely a man.
I might have soft tissue in that bag.
I apologize for not having you set up there.
I just started realizing like I'm looking for it.
Yeah, that's why I've said this in the past. Like, I need to have like a Kleenex sponsorship or something for the show.
Facts. Yeah, but aren't there some where it doesn't happen? Aren't there?
I mean, yeah,
conversations where you're just like,
yeah, it's not always tears. I mean, that's not my intent here.
Yeah,
but you know, it's just if we're letting things out, it's
no. Okay, all right. This is pretty soft.
You sure?
Is it on the?
I can make a run.
I'll just hold it.
You doing all right?
I think I'll be all right.
I think you will.
You think they need soft? Oh, like bathroom tissue? I don't want to stop.
Yeah. I mean, no, we'll keep rolling. You're not multi-editing right now, are you?
No, it's just a lot.
All right, we're just gonna keep talking. We're good.
Okay.
It's all good. This is not live TV. We're all right now.
Right. Okay.
But I appreciate you even just, this is there we go. Kleenex right on the spot.
Yeah. Okay.
I honestly don't know if
We're
I've
gonna
ever
hide it.
seen.
We're gonna hide it
Yeah,
until they cut a check.
Yeah, we should do both just in case.
Oh, right.
But
Or
no,
maybe I'll just hold the tissue. Is that out of frame?
Yeah, whatever. I don't really care either way.
All right.
It's about you right now.
Okay.
So, that process, it's just a otherworldly experience in general what happened in 2020, but
Right.
having to go into that,
Yeah.
I don't know how isolated you were, but
Very.
did that same. I was literally by myself, but
Yeah.
it was
I loved it though.
same.
Right?
Side topic. People were like, I felt like for many reasons, like a lot of my friends are having tough times. I
Yeah.
feel like I was having the time of my life.
I definitely
I was more creative.
I was telling them that, like, oh, really?
I was so productive. No, yeah, I'm just good by myself.
Yeah.
Which for better or for worse. But anyway, forget me.
Yeah, no.
The
It's the best couple years of life for real.
as weird as that,
and
yeah,
the worst.
yeah,
in
and the
certain
worst.
ways,
Not
you
sending
know?
any shade to anyone that went through some shit. Of course, like
I empathize for sure with that.
100%. But I was like, I was like, thank God I don't have to see anyone.
Right.
Anyway, that experience
Your
of
friends are watching like, damn, is that
no,
how
my
I feel
friends know
about
how I am. I'm very, I'll stick to the side.
Mine too.
Even though I'm extroverted, I'm more introverted.
Same.
But that experience of going into that, did that feel like a good opportunity, or did it put you deeper into it?
I think it was just necessary because it helped me realize that I was delaying grief. And when you had to sit still in it with nothing else to do, like, boy, it was some good 6 months, 7 months, but until I could even film a movie again, or, there's a lot of stuff that just couldn't happen. So you had to just sit in your stuff, all of it. And grief was definitely at the top of my list. So I think it was good for me. I embraced it. I knew that I couldn't run and I shouldn't run. I should face it. I'm more of a face it, embrace it type of person anyway.
Ditto. So do you think it was more, this might not even be an answer to this question, but based on what you're telling me, did it feel more just literally the sitting in it process and feeling it that felt helpful? Or was there a lot of intellectualizing this, that, and the other? If you can even, feel that out.
I want to understand that question better.
I mean, like, I think there's many different ways we can go through things, and there's not one right answer. But for me personally, which I'm asking if you kind of did a similar thing, going through anything really, I tend to, of course, my brain races to get very analytical about thinking about what do I feel and going down that rabbit hole. But sometimes for me, it's literally just sitting in it. And I'm not overanalyzing why I feel this or why I feel that. And sometimes just allowing myself to feel it, whatever that feeling may be, kind of like deflates the balloon. Like, do you think there was a lot of that, or were you all up in your head?
I think it was a lot of that. Yeah, I had a lot of releases. There's a lot of releases.
What kind of releases?
Releases, like the way that I view the archetypal masculine, the way that I viewed marriage, the way that I viewed a man's role, the way, like, I had a lot of, like, I don't know if releases is releases too, but realizations and things, untruths that I could let go of, release in that sense.
Got it.
Yeah, a lot of reckoning.
Like things in the
like
things in the past more than the aftermath. If that makes sense, like
the past.
Okay.
The past, just how I viewed marriage, how I viewed men, how I viewed cheating, how I viewed certain things.
So a lot of different things came up, like outside of your father kind of stuff.
Outside of that dynamic.
Damn.
Like,
okay.
Relationally, it was like I just kept having like these like different opinions or different ways of looking and different ways of thinking about this, or a man's role, and like seeing men as more tender. That was a big one. Like, men have emotions.
Yeah, so they say, yeah.
So they say. I mean, we don't see them often. It's like it's a myth.
Yeah, bullshit too. Some men have the biggest emotions I've ever seen. They just choose to smother it away.
Yeah, or try to mask it.
So was it losing a male figure that triggered these thoughts about the male figure? About
the male figure, exactly. About all male figures, about little boys, about grown men, about teenager boys, about, I just kept having these like, Well, that's an interesting POV,
Mm-hmm.
thing that I would never probably have considered if I wasn't kind of having to really consider his life the way that I did. Yeah.
So you think was that more just okay? Now my male figure's gone, and due to the absence, did it kind of bring you back to the past relationship? And by bringing up the memories, it just opened up a Pandora's box about this dynamic. Am I understanding that?
Yeah, in a sense, yes, yes, yes. And also my own choices and the way that I view the men that I'm in partnership with, or my ex relationships, which aren't that many, but like just how I viewed a lot of factors in relationship changed. In good and bad ways. You know what I mean? Sometimes it was like, ooh, I picked up this unhealthy piece. Like, let me figure out how to put that back down. I don't think that's pick that up out of fear or anger or bitterness or,
This is interesting to me because it's I mean, not that it hasn't like come up, but it's an interesting dynamic because I want to like go deeper into that. So you lose your dad, a father figure, but then his death opened up all these different perspectives of how you view men in general from all different types of relationships. Was that, again, I didn't ask it enough, but was it mirrored off your relationship with him, or just the fact that a man died, it just made you think of how men are?
It had more to do with the figure that he was for me.
Okay.
The man, that man.
Yeah, right.
Him being my father. Yeah, it had more to do with just how I looked at their marriage and how I looked at the father he was to me, the father he was to us, the brother he was to his sister, the boss he was, the developer he was, just the businessman side. Like it just kind of became so faceted. Like, and the boy he was to his mom, with his parents, and just all of the.
Yeah. No,
so now I looked at life through like the refractions that were being, what is that thing called? Like a kaleidoscope?
Okay, yeah.
Like through the or like
the complexity
a
of
prism. Yeah, like through the complexity of this person. Like,
damn, that's beautiful. I mean, for anyone listening in the future in this episode, like y'all might have clicked earlier, but now it just clicked for me. It makes so much sense because now you're looking at, again, like you said already, the archetype of your father figure who seems to have been amazing and such a good example throughout the examples you just gave me. And then the reflection of that, now you put that on the rest of your relationships with men and seeing that and what the potential of a good man is.
Yeah, what does it look like? Now I have got questions. Yeah. What does it look like?
You've seen it.
And also I also wondered like what he thought of blank. What did you think about your marriage? Would you call it successful? Would you call it unsuccessful? Would you, were you happy? Like, it was all these unanswered questions that I was like, damn, if only I could ask that.
That's the shit that sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. It's like my dad passed when I was 12, so it's like, damn, I was like, nah, as a grown man now, I get life in a different lens. I'm like, nah, growing up with him has been great, but there's the little things like, damn, I just had that talk with him. And that doesn't have to be, in my case, there's your case as well. It's just those non-existent memories that could have been.
Yeah.
And those questions unanswered. Yeah. And now you got to figure it out for yourself, but then you're never going to get those answers, but maybe we can, kind of. Like, it's just that intuition aspect. Like, where does that come in?
Yes. And it's like, so that's what I was searching for, the answers. And so I'm now looking out into the world to find the answers that I could not get from him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think the answers are much closer, if there are answers. And sometimes the answer is not even an answer. It's just okay. Whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, whatever that is. Like, oh, okay.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
that's so beautiful at the same time. I never really thought of that angle. And maybe I kind of subconsciously did that. I don't know what it was. I used to growing up as a kid, I used to get so upset whenever I saw my friends like just kind of be nasty at their parents. And now I vocalize it, I'm a different person. But then I would just like look at it like, motherfuckers, like I would love to be pissed at my dad right now as an ignorant child that doesn't know any better. And it's like
I go through that too. When people dismiss or like don't go see their dad or don't call, or like
Just easy
even miss a
things.
phone call. Like,
Yeah.
your dad's calling.
And that's the weird part about death, because like, it's like whenever someone calls me and if the phone rings, someone's like, I really don't feel like talking right now because I'm just in my mood. But I'm like, I gotta take this call because
They may
they might die. They might be driving a car right now and then die. So as weird as that is, like, but no, it sounds morbid, kind of is, but not really.
Yeah.
It's just life.
And I think about the morbidity of the thought as it's occurring. Like, they may die. Damn, that's morbid. But answer the phone. Let me answer the phone.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. It's like, well, thank God for morbidity because I'm picking up the phone now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just it's like just the way we look at it. But,
yeah.
So how you feeling in regards to, like, it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, the tears don't always dry up, but like, how do you feel?
I feel resolved. For most days, I feel resolved. Most days, I feel like, all right, well, that's okay. Certain things may never happen. Nope, he can't walk you down the aisle. That's all right. We're gonna figure that out. Nope, he wouldn't meet your child if you ever have one. All right, well, you know, maybe he will. Maybe he'll be in the room, in the delivery room. He's probably here right now. You know what I mean? Like,
I wonder about that. And I'm happy you said that. 'Cause it's easy transition. But so where are you at with that belief in regards to where they are right now?
Man, they're like just invisible. I think they're just invisible. But they're present, but here, like literally, he could be legs crossed, sitting on the floor, just like, like who knows? But I can feel his presence a lot of times. I also think, I don't know, like, this thing with the cardinals happened. First time it happened. He died on January 4th. Mother's Day was what? No, when is Mother's Day? May.
Oh, thank God. It's April now. I'm like, did I miss Mother's Day?
Right. Okay, so it's May. So his birthday was April 4th. And we celebrated his birthday. And in May, on Mother's Day, I did what Dad would do. And I picked up flowers for my mom, and a card. And I was like, I'm filling in for Dad, right? And a few things happened. There was a butterfly on my windshield from the exit all the way to, say, 2 or 3 miles to, like, about to pull up to her house. And I was like, that is so odd. It was hanging on.
It's like a Pixar movie.
I couldn't go slow. It really was. It was like blowing in the wind, and it was like, but it was hanging on. It was literally just hanging on for dear life. And I was driving slow, and I did not care about other people. I was like, what is happening right now? Okay. So then I get to the house, and there is a goose in the backyard. A goose in the backyard. We have a pool.
Rare?
Very rare.
I mean, it's rare for me. I just don't know if you're like Gooseland or something.
One goose.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, weird.
Very weird.
Okay.
Right? And I say, well, actually, I didn't ask about that yet. Okay, so I didn't even see it yet. I told the story out of order. The butterfly happened on the way, right? And what's crazy is there was an intuitive who once told me that butterflies are my grandmother giving, and so we went, whatever year this was, my mother's sister had passed. My uncle brought us gifts from his house. Had said something to the effect of, we thought this should be yours. And it was a butterfly, you know what I mean? Okay. And it's like, okay, so there were some coincidences and synchronicities with butterflies prior to this moment. So that's why I felt like this is kind of special.
And you felt it.
Yeah, like you feel when things happen, certain things happen, or with animals or whatever.
Yeah, you feel it.
You feel their presence. You just get a sense of like, Dad. And you don't know why.
And I think that's the intuitive difference. Just you can always just look for this or that, but sometimes they feel some hit differently.
Right? Okay, so I pull up. I have the flowers. As I'm getting out of the car with the flowers in the cart, and Mom, for the first time ever, actually comes outside. Like normally, you know what I mean? I'm just go right on in or use the key or ring. Well, I never ring the doorbell. I just find an open door. But she came outside, and As soon as I'm about to hand her the freaking flowers, a cardinal, I'll say a red bird in this moment, because I'm just like a red bird.
Mm-hmm.
This is before I had any awareness that cardinals would become so much a big part of my life. A red bird, and my mom wears red lipstick, and red, my father and mother met when they attended Ohio State. So red is their color. My mom wears red lipstick. She wears red clothes. She likes her red. Okay. And so did my dad. All right. And yeah. Those that know about Ohio State will already know that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The bird flies between, I'm like maybe this close, just as I'm about to hand the flowers, and we hear like the fluttering of the wings. It's like, you can kind of hear like the flapping. So the bird dips right in between us. And I'm like, we both go, was that bird red? And it was the reddest red, like the red on your hat. It was so vivid and bright. It's on the side of your hat. So they'll see it. It's redder than this. Like, it wasn't maroon. It wasn't like off. It was vivid and bright. As bright as my mother's lipstick. And we're just like, interesting. But I immediately was like,
ain't that some shit?
Dad.
Hell yeah.
Right? Mother's Day, first one, just a couple months after.
And the butterfly was on the way there?
Butterfly was on the way there.
Yeah, I mean, what? I mean, right? And that just felt like, what does that feel like?
Yeah, it just felt like that. It just felt I think I made a mention, because I don't like to spook my mom with like certain mystical, spiritual things, you know what I mean? But I'm totally into them. They've become very much a real part of my life, especially even more so when he has passed. But yeah, that happening, I think I said something, and she was like, yeah. And she went with it. And I was like, that's not like my mom.
That's different too.
Yeah, that was different. So yeah, it was just interesting. We both felt the sensation of dad.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, and then there was a fox, and she said, my dad had a boat in the yard still there. We didn't know what to do with it, but at the time the boat was there. And so when I saw the goose in the backyard, she said, yeah, it's been in and out of the pool. It's just been hanging out, the goose. And I'm like, that's odd. I was like, alone? Like, where's his family? Like, where, Now, mind you, my dad, our house is on 11 acres, and he cleared a lot of it out. He was really proud of this land. He's really proud of this land, like cleared most of it. It hardly left any trees except like on the perimeter. And so my mom had told me that this goose was like hanging out on dad's boat. And dad's, these are things that dad loves, like his pool, like everything. He built the house, you know what I mean? He helped build the house.
So
he was a developer.
How long ago is this? How long after?
This is months.
Months. Okay.
Yeah, like 3 months. Like, he died January 4th. This is May, whatever day Mother's Day fell on in 2020.
So was that, you got it, was same year. Okay.
Same year.
Wild. All
same year. So, yeah, I don't know. It was just, so she said, why, I don't stutter in real life. I don't know why this is so
It wasn't
hard.
a stutter. It was just a collection.
Okay.
You good.
She said the goose was like made a nest on the boat.
Oh, damn.
And had been around for however long it had been around. I think she said weeks, and a couple weeks. And I had to look up. I want whoever's looking to just look it up, because I'm probably going to slaughter like the meaning, the totem, like spiritual totem meaning of like a goose, a butterfly, and the cardinal. Because there's a lot there.
There is a lot. Like, what about the trifecta of it together?
Yeah.
Wait, specifically together? I'm saying, like, I wonder
day.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Exactly. All on the same day. I don't know. I mean, I researched it, and I have all the screenshots, and it was very significant.
Just give you comfort, though. Like, it's good. It's all good, though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like some people go either direction. Some people get more sad from that. Some people just feel like, oh, no, he's just chilling, still around us. He's gone, but he's not gone. Ain't that beautiful?
I feel him every time I see a cardinal. And boy, I've never seen cardinals. I'm born and raised in the same place. And I've lived within a 5-mile radius ever since college. I have never seen a cardinal until my dad died. And now I see them almost every day.
God damn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Almost every day. Right.
It's wild, but it's just like, I don't know, like I'm getting little like goosebumps whenever I hear stories like this, because it's one of those things where I've always wanted to believe, but then like certain things have happened. I hear so many stories and I just straight up believe. And you know, some people it's like, where's the proof? Like, is that cardinal talking to you? I was like, first of all, shut the fuck up. Second, it's like you just gotta have these experiences, and it's different when you have these experiences. And at the end of the day, it's like the meaning you give it. And if you feel it, and then that's good with me.
I don't have to give it meaning. It gives me the meaning.
That's the crazy part too.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, a sense. It's too weird, if anything. It's very weird.
Like attached with the feeling.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we understand how crazy it sounds. Like, we get it.
So it's getting less to me at this point in my life. I've been doing this so long. I'm like, I think y'all are crazy for thinking it's crazy to me. I'm like, I just think this is I think this is it. And you know,
it's very much in the real world and part of reality.
Yeah, it happens
as everything
all
else.
the time.
Right.
It happens all the time. And to me, it's still like a hint of sadness to me in many ways, because like, okay, that's cool, you're a bird, Dad, but at the same time, like, God damn, I wish you were just here.
Right.
But
can't hug a bird.
Can't hug a bird. That'd be weird. That'd be crazy.
I can barely photograph it. Like,
that'd be weird, but no, it's like it just gives me a lot of hope and a warm feeling whenever I hear these stories. Like, I know we're good. Like we're gonna we're gonna reconnect. This is a part of that connection. There's still a part of that reconnection.
It doesn't end. It hasn't ended.
It doesn't end. Death is just we're just ending these meat sacks of ours, and then we're continuing on in some capacity.
Right.
And I find that beautiful. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, we're gonna be good. I think when we're out of this meat suit in that spiritual realm, it's just woo-woo David talking. It's just like I think we're gonna look back in a completely different, incomprehensible form and be like, you guys are so stupid.
Yes.
It's like,
that's what I think they're thinking.
You know, I think it's partially that, but they can't tell us that at the same time, besides comforting us. But I think that comfort is at the same time comes some kind of insinuation that it's going to be all right.
Yeah, it's going to be all right. You just don't know.
We just don't know. And we got to go through that. We got, like, this is part of it. We're just this roller coaster on. We got to go through this. We got to feel the pain, and we got to go through it, because without the pain, we ain't feeling any sunshine. Exactly. And that's just the way it goes.
Exactly.
But I appreciate you taking the time to open up a little bit and let me in, and letting everyone else in, whoever's watching this. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to mic drop on us right now, anything you feel like you didn't get off your chest or plug, whatever. So it's your show. I feel I have his ring on, actually. That's his ring?
Yes, his ring.
I know it's weird, because you're wearing a lot. You're wearing jewelry right now, but that was the only one. They're all beautiful.
Thank
you. That one was dragging me in.
Stood out, yeah. It's his army ring.
Hell yeah.
And inside it says 1 Lieutenant Hilson, First Lieutenant Hilson.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but what I would say, I noticed that, like, these orchestrations, I noticed, like, there's just so many serendipities, so many confirmations that you can't miss. And where I'm at in my career now, I have him to thank for the whatever orchestration he was doing. My movie career, my music career, things really started really ramping up. You know, I had a lot of false starts in my music career, my comeback. There were things that I didn't see a way out of, or a way to handle, that have since he's passed cleared. Like, I just keep having this sense, like, damn, he's doing more there than he could do in his body.
Ooh.
He's doing more there than he could do. And that now I can realize why he had to go, and why, or I can see, I'm not saying I'm the only reason, but there's so much orchestration in our family, things that are clearing up, things that are healing, bonds that are, coming back together, but, things, big families, things happen, so much. But in my career, it's so apparent. It's so apparent. I was getting offers to doing things that we shared bonds about, like Western films and like horseback riding. And my dad was a cowboy boot wearing, cowboy hat wearing cowboy, basically. We always wanted horses. That's why he had the land. We never did it, but, we rode for 6 years, and, he took us, and that was just part of our bond, me and my older sister. I think maybe one under me did some of that too, but
he's pulling the strings.
Yeah, he's pulling strings.
It's
a lot.
That resonated with me when you said that, because I'm working on something now, and I was just writing things out. And I think something along the lines I said, I was kind of talking to my dad as I'm writing, if that makes sense. And as I'm writing, I'm like, I wonder, I wish I would love to have you here, but I'm like, I don't know if you would have taught me. It's a little different, just lesson based, but it's like, I don't know if you would have taught me the same lessons, or I would have learned as much about life if you were still here living. Like, you would have taught me so much, how to be a man, this, that, and the other. I would have learned so much more. At the same time, like, if you didn't die, I'm not sure I would have learned. I don't think I would have learned or had all these things if you were still here. And it's a yin and yang on battling that. You know what I mean? If someone was in front of me, I'm like, yeah, I'll choose that. But at the same time, there's so much continuing on, whether it's pulling strings or just the natural movement of life, or both. I believe both, or just that. Yeah. And it's like, there's so much more of an impact with him, my dad not being here. Yeah. For better or for worse, but mostly for better. As weird as that sounds. Yeah, no. It's crazy. Yeah. I completely concur. Like, I owe so many of those lessons. There are a lot of lessons, but also the orchestration and just, I owe so much to him, because I know there's nothing else that could be happening. Like, that thing has been at a dead stalemate for like however long. You know what I mean? Like, how could it? What is something? Energy opened, and intention was set, and things started moving and opening up, and calls were being had out of the blue, and redemption was being felt and expressed from others to me, and like, just all kind of just things you can't write. I just know ever since he's passed, it's like, I can't write that better than that. I can't write that better than that. Wow. Yeah, the only competition is probably Patrick Swayze and Ghost. That might be the closest one we got. Possibly. No, but it's beautiful. You still got your back, and I love that you keep your heart open to that. You know what I mean? And it sounds like you're good at listening to the unseen. Yeah. I think that's a trait that I think we all have, and I hope more people are into it, because that shit's real. It is very real. We have it because we have no choice. They'll have it when they have no choice. We'll see. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Keri, you're amazing. Thank you so much again for thank you sharing your story. And it really resonated. You got an incredible calming presence. And so I really appreciate that. It's called tears. It's called No, that's what that is. This whole week, I feel like I've been tested by another force. I'm like, all I had to do was fucking cry. I would have been calm, but I forgot about that. But thank you again, and thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Dead Talks. Until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dead Talks. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell. That'll give you updates as to when we post a new video, more episodes, and more content in general. We are streaming on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and all that. And also find us on Instagram at Dead Talks Podcast or www.deadtalks.net. Thank you so much.